Okay, welcome back to 160th anniversary playthrough of the Battle of Chancellorsville using Across the Rappahannock, the uh, glory system from GMT. So we're on to turn 70715, 715. And the action, again, pretty heavy here in the center where you expected it to be with Jackson hammering away here, again trying to capture road hexes up through here. So where we're at with this is you can see over here, here's the AM draw for this turn. We had both Union Army AMs come out first and wound up having 3 and 4 core activations as part of this through here. Most of this was just getting repositioned with the 3rd Corps down here, trying to recover a little bit of the 11th Corps, which they were able to recover a little bit over here. Repositioning a little bit with the 12th Corps, and of course bringing up the 1st Corps to counter Hill's division over here. So that was the main focus of it here. The 5th and the 2nd stayed out of any action, mainly trying to focus over here with them. A little bit of counterattacks by the 3rd Corps. This unit here pushed back in here, again drawing units away from the main attack up the road, which I think is what the Union wants to do, to try to just draw off resources and units to cover this flank as much as possible. You can see there's a lot of units here. We see you got 1, 2, 3, or 5 essentially that have to cover this, plus 3 artillery units here as well, pulled off from this main attack. So it does make it a little bit difficult for Jackson's units to push down the road, because we can't get the good wedge going up here because they have to worry about the flanks. But they have made some progress. You can see over here, up in through the southern side of the road. You can see a couple of units of up here next to the woods. They were actually up here but got pushed back when Barry came across here, and his 3rd Division counterattacked a little bit across here. And that was the real thrust of the Union attacks over here. Confederates, on the other hand, thrusted back a little bit, or tried to, over in here with some artillery, and tried to attack over in here, which failed. This was actually disordered. These two were disordered. And now they're kind of just in defensive positions over here. The real focus for the Confederates have been up through here. I'll just focus you in a little bit here, right in the center, almost right on with the camera. So right within here, we've had Colson and Hill. Hill finally got his act together, and we had a number of units of McGowan and Archer, Heath supporting, Thomas in reserve over here as well. Really kind of pushed through this trail crossroads and pushed back the cavalry. They actually destroyed one brigade of Williams, the 1st Brigade of Williams Corps that was in there. They kind of trapped them, encircled them, and they couldn't retreat. Of course, they lose a step if you retreat into the frontal hex. So that knocked them out this turn as well. So they've kind of opened a gap over here. We still have the French's units from the 2nd Corps holding a defensive position, along with the 1st Corps' artillery here. We also have Wadsworth's units moving up over here, which will probably provide a defensive position against this breakthrough over in here. And Hill is going to have to continue the attack over here and probably try to reposition around here to kind of give a shoulder here to prevent the 1st Corps from collapsing this breakthrough within here. We'll see how he does with that. But if they can get down here and break through and start capturing road hexes. This is wide open down in through here with some remnants of the 11th Corps over here and such. That could give them a big advantage and get a lot of victory points, because they could probably get 3 or 4 right here, and then move back up the road, or in fact go for Chancellorsville itself over the next couple of turns. So been the main focus, right in through there. Let me zoom you back out so you can see where we are with the first corps and the second over in here. So that's basically been the 7:15 turn. A little bit more push by Hill, Coulson. Rhodes' attack is kind of not stalled, but been sidetracked by the Third Corps pushing from the south over here. Anderson over here, I should note, did recoveries this turn. Three of the units over here were disordered, needed to recover after the counterattack by Geary's troops up here, and they've exchanged a few artillery shells over in here, but they're not going to really make a good push up here. You get this artillery here. You've got very strong units here, and then a tough unit will go over here. They could potentially swing this way, but there's not good roads and good positions for the artillery to go against Hazel Grove up through here. They would like to get into Fairview, because that would give, again, another pincer to get into these hexes over here with that. And just to give a nod to the eastern troops of McLaws, we'll just swing you over here for a moment. Not too much. McLaws is a tough situation. He's got a lot of units in front of him to attack. He's demonstrated and brought units up, but really hasn't done anything. There's just really nothing they can get in here and attack with any type of advantage in through here. So it's mainly just kind of holding, taking opportunity if Hooker pulls units out from there, but it's doubtful. It'll be a real collapse on the west side over here for him to do that. And of course, the 5th Corps is just keeping that position along the river there as well. So that's where we're at the end of the 7:15 turn. Moving on to the 8:30 turn. There'll be with this turn, there'll be 4 more after this. So I'll probably put the 8:30 with the 7:15 video that we're just doing here, and post that up, and then probably do one set with the last 3, or maybe 2, and then the last one, and then a final wrap up after that. So hopefully you're enjoying this series, 160th playthrough, Battle of Chancellorsville. Real interesting. In terms of what it is, I thought there was a little bit of give and take, but it's really shaping up quite nicely for me within here. So hopefully you're enjoying it too. Thanks for watching. Hey, welcome back to the 8:30 turn for Battle of Chancellorsville, 160th anniversary. So we're up to 8:30. We're at the end of 8:30. And the situation hasn't changed much. It's started to be a little bit of a grind on here. A couple things to note with the Confederate attack, because they did make progress, but really kind of a grinding battle at this junction. So what happened here? First off, with the AMs, I don't know if you can see over here. Let me zoom you in here a little bit with the camera. With the AM draw, Confederates won the initiative, first off. So they went with Jackson right here, leading off the attack. They got a really good push from Hill over here. Broke through this center line, this trail essentially down through here. Broke through this center line and really crushed through them a little bit more from both last turn and this turn. And then he's moved up reserves to continue the attack as much as possible. So that was the good point about this. Over here in the center, it's still kind of a grind. Coulson and the left side of Rhodes, particularly Iverson, Doles over here. We've also got Iverson over here as well, trying to push down the road. These are the These are the hexes we need to get down through here. But they've stopped by artillery, and there was artillery here, but you've noticed they've actually broken through and taken this this improved positions hex here. So that's huge because back here there's no artillery. These are just command units. So they could potentially break through here. But we still have artillery here, and we still have some remnants of the 11th Corps holding out over here. So a little bit of tough battle over here. Also have the 3rd Corps. Barry has moved up in here into a blocking position, trying to take up some of the slack that the 11th Corps has left. We're seeing a little bit of pullback. Sorry, I should shift the camera over here. We're seeing a little bit of pullback to the south, to the west and south of the 3rd Corps. They need to kind of stay and hold here as much as possible, but they can't keep the line this way and have the center collapsing on them. So they are starting to move back here as well, and that's kind of drawing some of Rhodes's troops back in here too. So there's going to be a big fight here in the center as time goes on. It's it's really still up in the air in terms of who's going to win. Slightly looking towards the Union side of things, but it still could be a Confederate success, especially with the breakthrough up through here. Going back to the AMs, the AMs kind of split right along Corps and Army lines. Jackson first, Longstreet second. We had a little bit of action over here with Anderson, but that's just really just kind of preoccupying Geary's troops over there. Then we had one Union AM, which only resulted in 1 Corps moving. And I believe that was the 1st Corps kind of plugging this gap up here. Back to Jackson again, kind of consolidating a little bit down here, a little bit more attacks over here, not much, because we were getting the 2nd AM at some point for the Union side, which came up the next turn, which again, only 1 Corps moved. At that time it was a 3rd Corps to consolidate, and then finally we had the Longstreet, the Lee Longstreet Chet to handle Anderson and McLaws here. So zooming back out here a minute, you can see our situation here. Jackson attack has started to get into that grinding mode, as I've been saying here for the past couple turns. Still pushing forward, still trying to reach this particular hex up here and these hexes in here. That's the real key to the victory on here. For the Union side, it's just pouring more troops into this position to kind of block them as much as possible and trying to threaten over here, which they can with the 1st Corps. That's still fairly fresh. 3rd Corps is somewhat on the spent side. They have actually lost a couple units, and actually I'll show you, I'll line up the withdrawn and the eliminated units and show you what they look like. A little bit spent because they've lost the equivalent of a brigade and a half of units over here, and you can see there's a lot of disordered units back here as well. They're trying to rally. They do have enough fresh units to kind of stay in line and kind of hold them off here, but they do need to kind of consolidate back here a little bit as their line is getting a little bit stretched within there. So that's kind of where we're at with the units on the board. So let me just show you the losses, which we have up here. Sorry, just organizing them here a little bit so they look a little bit better for you. It's the messy house syndrome here. So just kind of show you what's there. All right, so let me bring up the other camera over here and flip over there. And of course you're upside down. There we are. So let me just turn this away from you so you don't get the glare or get less glare. There we go. Okay, so you can see with with the unit losses here. A lot for the 11th. All of these light blue are the 11th. Devons and Schultz and or Schwartz, excuse me. I forget what else there. I can't see them there across the table. A lot of artillery. Again, 2 artillery units from the 11th. Cavalry, both the artillery and Pleasanton, half of Pleasanton's units lost there. You can see some artillery from the 3rd Corps and 1 3rd Corps unit and 1 12th Corps unit over there. We do have a couple more in the withdrawal box that you can see down here at the bottom. 1 from the 1st, 1 from the 3rd, 1 from the 11th. Potentially will get on board, back on board, or eliminated the next turn. So you can see with that, there's been quite a bit of losses. Now losses will come into play if we do get a draw, but I'm leery at that point. Could result in that, but have to have the exact same number of victory points, and it's kind of skewed. I think it's a little bit skewed towards having an odd number of victory points on here. So not sure if that's actually going to come into play with this. But that's how the losses look. Jumping back to our big board, you can see how the battle is shaping up here. At the end of the 8:30 a.m. turn, we're moving on to 9:45, and there'll be 3 turns after this. There'll be 9:45, 11, and 12:15, and that'll end the game. So my thinking on this is, again, pushing with Jackson. Jackson's going to be the attack on this. That's the name of the scenario. Jackson attacks. And we're just going to push right in here as much as possible and push right up here as much as possible and try to get these. Same time, of course, the Union's going to try to push back against here as well. So it's going to be a bit of pushing, shoving, bullying, whatever you want to call it, to work out the end of the game. So anyways, fairly decent scenario. Like the modifications here, and it's a good one for the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Chancellorsville. So I thank you for watching. See you on the next one.